Welcome to the Movie Cheer Podcast, the show for movie fans. I am your host, AP, aka Mr. Movie Cheer, and on today's episode of the Movie Cheer Pod, I will be discussing the 1986 movie Top Gun. That's right, the original Top Gun movie, the one before Top Gun Maverick. I've even got my Top Gun sunglasses on here to celebrate this episode today. So, in today's headline topic, I'll be doing a big deep dive into the original Top Gun movie, the first Top Gun movie, and I can't wait to really have a good old discussion about that movie. Tom Cruise in aeroplanes. I mean, the movie is not called Aeroplanes. He is in an aeroplane, or he's in a jet, isn't he? I'm rambling. Let's take these shades off. I think it's these shades. They're called rambling shades. That's what I'm calling them. Anyway, that is going to be today's headline topic. But before we get to today's headline topic, ladies and gents, every show, I start off the show with a segment called Not So Worthy Blockbuster Housekeeping. This is a segment of the show where I discuss what's going on with the channel, what's going on within the Movie Cheer Town community, and it's just a general easing in chit-chat for the rest of the show to get us ready for that meaty, juicy headline topic that is Top Gun. So, not so worthy blockbuster housekeeping for today's show. Let's get into it. First of all, I want to say this past week on Bank Holiday Monday here in the UK, I was on another YouTube channel. So the Movie Cheer Podcast was on another YouTube channel. I was on Video Tasties YouTube channel. Video Tasties is run by a very nice gentleman by the name of Gareth, and Gareth has got a great channel where he does like movie watch along. So I was doing a movie watch along with Gareth for the movie James Bond movie Moonraker, and it was really fun. First time I've done a movie watch along with someone on someone's channel, and it was a really fun experience. Gareth was a really nice guy and a really good host as well. And I just want to say big thank you to Gareth. I'm going to link in his YouTube channel below if you're watching this on YouTube. If you don't check out Gareth's channel, first of all, he's got an excellent VHS collection. This guy has got I've seen it in some of the backdrops of some of these videos. He's got this cave of VHS, and he has some really cool content on his channel, discussing VHS, looking at different covers and looking at just different movies on VHS, and he does a ton of these movie watch-alongs with loads of different YouTubers, and it is a really fun channel. And I always say this, deep down, the main thing is he's a really sound guy as well. So big thank you to Gareth. Check out Video Tasties, and feel free to check out that video as well. Give him a thumbs up, give him a like, and subscribe to his channel as well. What else has been going on in Movie Cheer Town this week? Well, on the YouTube side of things this past week, on Thursday, new video out every Thursday. It was another quick topics video led by a topic that came from Mark within the community. And Mark gave the topic of should you update your movie collection? That video has had a big chunk of views on it so far, a lot of interaction on that video, and it's been great to see all the interaction and the different comments and just interacting with people within the community. It's been really good, and I've really enjoyed the just discussing different topics from that video. So that was really good. Big thank you again to Mark for the awesome topic for that video as well. And there was other topics included as well. I'm doing 6 topics on these quick topics videos. I'm kind of just getting the content ready, because obviously at the end of the month we're going to be doing Movie Cheer Fest, the pay-per-view show, and I want to put kind of all my energy into that. So I'm kind of trying to get as much content done before that, so I'm going to try and wrap up a lot of them videos over next week really, just to then we can get ready for Movie Cheer Fest. Bring on the fest. Latest blog post. So you can find, we have the YouTube content, the podcast, and there is another type of content within the Movie Cheer universe, and it is the website moviecheerpodcast.com, and it's just a blog. Every Wednesday I put out a new blog post. This past Wednesday I had a best case covers of 2022 so far, and I was looking at a few different case covers that have came out this year. That was a really fun blog to put together, and I always enjoy looking at different case covers. I'm a case covers fanatic. I love them. I just love looking at different variants. what else has been going on in Movie Cheer Town? Well, like I said, Movie Cheer Fest is coming up Saturday, the 24th of September. Every 3 months, if you're not aware, on the channel, we do a pay-per-view show. It tends to be a live show, live edition of the podcast. I'm kind of building this up as the WrestleMania, the Super Bowl of Movie Cheer Pods, the Movie Cheer Pod calendar. And this is going to be a yearly thing, hopefully. So Movie Cheer Fest this year, the very first, the inaugural Movie Cheer Fest. What is going down on the 24th, the Saturday? It is going to be a live edition of the podcast, hopefully with some guests joining me for that. And there is, I'm going to let you know a bit more about that a bit nearer the time and who will feature on that episode. But I was thinking, I want it to be, like I said, I want it to be like a festival vibe. I love music and I've been in festivals in the past, and I thought I want it to have that festival vibe to it. So I've had this idea. I was initially thinking of doing like a 2-day event sort of thing on YouTube, live event. And initially it was just going to be the podcast on the Saturday. I have decided now that it is going to be a 2-day event, Movie Cheer Fest. So there'll be Movie Cheer Fest day 1 and day 2. So day 2 will be the podcast episode, live podcast episode. And day 1, what is going down on day 1? Well, day 1, it's a festival. What does a festival have? It has a big stage, doesn't it? So on the Friday, it will be the Movie Cheer Town stage, the Movie Cheer Town main stage, if you like. But yeah, the Movie Cheer Town stage will be open for anyone to come along and join in and have a chat. So I'm going to be doing a live stream basically on the Friday evening around 7:30 UK time, around that time. Do a few hours on YouTube. If it's me on my own, I don't mind. I'll ramble about whatever topics I can think of, or if anyone has any suggestions. But I just thinking, the podcast episode is going to kind of be a bit more constructed with like the usual segments. But I thought let's just do a chill out stream. But I also want to throw it out there. If you would like to come onto that stream on the Friday, drop me a message. Drop me a message in the comments. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter, wherever, Facebook. Drop me a line. Just send me a message if you fancy coming on. If you want to do 15 minutes, you want to do 20 minutes, you want to come on for the whole stint, I don't mind. And this as well, I want to say this as well. You don't have to have a YouTube channel to come on. If you're a part of this community and you want to come on and just discuss movies, discuss TV, discuss collecting movies, drop me a line. Come on, I want to see. Everyone is welcome on this live stream. So I really do. It's an open invitation. Let me know. But all I ask is just let me know in advance, just so I can set it all up, because I kind of want to have people lined up for that day, and obviously get a few different people on, and we can suss out the times. But yeah, let me know, and it'd be great to get a few people who I see in the comments regularly into that video, into a live stream discussing movies, because there's nothing like. I mean, it's great doing I love the interactions within the comments. It is amazing, but having that live interaction, I've noticed, is just so much easier, and you can just get that instant feedback, and you kind of ask things that you wouldn't have, or you'd never think of in the comments, about movies, and that's what I like. So yeah, so it'll be on the Friday, the 23rd of September. It will be the Movie Cheer Town stage, a live stream, and then on the Saturday, the 24th, it'll be an evening 7:30 start time for the podcast episode. Movie Cheer Town presents Movie Cheer Fest, a 2-day event. Bring on the fest. And that is it for today's not so worthy blockbuster housekeeping. Wow, that was a big juicy one today. I really enjoyed that. Let's get to today's headline topic of Top Gun. So, Top Gun, 1986, Tom Cruise's Top Gun comes out. And I will just say, before going into this, this is a movie I've only watched probably once or twice. This may even be the second time I've watched it. I watched it today to refresh the memory for this. But I recently watched the Maverick, the second movie, Top Gun Maverick, last week. And, I really enjoyed that movie. And I'm going to talk about the comparisons and comparing both movies in a bit. But yeah, so this was kind of like maybe a second or third watch of this movie. Not a lot of nostalgia for me for this movie. I know this is a big favourite for a lot of people. I think if you watched it growing up, that's where that nostalgia buzz comes from. So there was no nostalgia, there was no connection for me. I'll be honest, I do like Tom Cruise's movies, but this is kind of just one of them, kind of like them 80s Tom Cruise movie. Like, is it A Few Good Men? The one with Nicholson in? And I always think, what's the one where he's a sports agent? I can't think of it, what it's called, that one. But this one is, again, it's kind of in that like batch of Tom Cruise movies that I've watched maybe once or twice, and just didn't really go back to, and just didn't have, it wasn't like a Mission Impossible for me where I'm watching it again and again and again. And it's not to say they're bad movies, it's just maybe there wasn't a connection there at the time of watching them movies for me. Let's get into it though. Let's talk about the plot, the characters first of all. So Tom Cruise plays Pete Maverick, Lieutenant Pete Maverick, a fighter pilot who is one of the best fighter pilots out there. And you've got Val Kilmer in there. He plays a fellow fighter pilot called Iceman within the Navy. Basically, start the story off. Tom Cruise's character of Lieutenant Pete Maverick. He's always his code name is Maverick when he's in the air. Him and his friend Goose, he's like sort of like his sideman, the guy who goes in the jet with him. They get recruited to a top school. So the best of the best pilots get recruited to go to this like special graduation school called Top Gun, where it's the best of the best, and they want to make them even better. They want to make them the elite, and they graduate this Top Gun class, and they're all vying to be the top of the class in Top Gun. So they do this short graduation, this school, this like Air Force school. So they get recruited into Top Gun by default because another pilot has like a panic attack in the air and he ends up quitting. They end up then going, obviously, to Top Gun. And I will, maybe before I get any further into this, I am going to go heavy in spoilers for Top Gun. I know it's a 1986 movie, but I wouldn't want to spoil it any further. So I'm not really getting too deep into it. But yeah, the spoilers ahead for Top Gun. And I'm also going to go into a few spoilers with Top Gun Maverick. So if you've not watched either of those movies, maybe come back at a later point. But yeah, so Goose and Maverick, Tom Cruise's character Maverick, get recruited into Top Gun. This is where they then meet Val Kilmer's character of Iceman, who is a fellow pilot, and him and Tom Cruise's character, they kind of like have this rivalry. They kind of don't really like each other just because they are just two arrogant blokes who are just vying to be number one in this class of Top Gun. They want to graduate top of the class, and they both think they're the best pilots. So the plot is they have to like graduate from this school. Throughout the plot, we do see some tragic events happen. The tragic event being Maverick's best friend Goose. He's got a side guy, the guy who sits in the plane with him, has an accident. They have an accident with the plane, with the jet during a training session mid-flight, and they have to like get out of the jet. They pull the ejector seat. Maverick gets out, but Goose, his ejector seat sort of like goes wrong, and he smacks his head on the sort of like the wing, the actual shield, like the glass. And then he ends up coming out of the plane, and he's basically dead on arrival. And then we see Tom Cruise's Maverick having to deal with the death of his best friend. And does he continue to be a pilot? At a certain point in the story, he's kind of debating whether he wants to still do this. He ends up coming back. They graduate. Iceman graduates top of the class with his fellow pilot. Maverick, congratulates him. And then at the end of the graduation, they get pulled into a mission straight away. So they go into a mission, and there's like this sort of like rescue mission where there's enemy pilots in the air, and we see then this big dogfight battle, and then we see, the Top Gun guys, the Americans, the US, the Navy, take them down, they shoot them down, and then they win the battle, complete the mission successfully, end of film. And yeah, so that is the film. And it's, within there as well, you've got this like love story between Kelly McGillis's character of Charlie and Tom Cruise's Maverick as well. A bit of a love story mixed in there. She's one of the trainers within the school as well. So that's the plot. Let's get to honest opinions of this movie. Well, I will say, like I said, there wasn't much of a nostalgia for me going into this, I wanted to give this movie another watch, a rewatch, because I often find movies upon rewatch, I enjoyed them a lot more. And I thought, as I really enjoyed Top Gun Maverick the other week, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna give Top Gun. I know a lot of people love this movie, and I thought I'm gonna give it another go and see where the connections are to the sequel and see what I think of it. And I will say, I watched this. I mean, behind the scenes, I'm filming this show now mid-afternoon. I was up super early for my day job this morning. I watched a bit of it last night, Top Gun. I watched about maybe 20, 30 minutes of it. And I watched the rest of the movie this morning, then a bit when I got back from work then. And honestly, when Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone plays, I don't know if you're the same. Let me know if you're the same, but man, that song plays a few times during the movie. That song revs me up. I was I was having my coffee hit this morning, and my caffeine hit, drinking some coffee, and when that song come on, at literally 5 o'clock this morning, got up about 5 o'clock watching Top Gun, and I'm bouncing. I've got my coffee, I've got that song, and I don't know if it's the caffeine or that song, but man, that song is a belter of a song. It is superb. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. Really enjoyed this movie on the rewatch. I think it is a fantastic film. I think Tom Cruise is great in it. I love the scenes with the planes. I think the new film is on a different level. But I think for a 1986 movie, the jet, the fighter scenes with the jets, the fighter jets are phenomenal in this. For a 1986 movie, they look incredible. Absolutely incredible, and really, edge of the seat sort of stuff when you're watching this movie, the scenes. I will say, certain parts of this movie didn't click with me as much. One part was Goose's death. I felt like that part of the movie wasn't as significant as it was meant to be, because it kind of just come out of nowhere. And then the story is, his character, Maverick, is kind of like this loose cannon. And when he goes there, Iceman is telling him, you should look out for your wingman. You're not good enough. You don't think up in the air. You take risks you shouldn't have. And when you see Goose die, his wingman, it feels like there should be more of a significance there. And I think it does a bit later on. It kicks in a bit more. But I feel like the initial, after his death, because it just comes out of nowhere, and it just feels like, felt like to me a bit of like a zero momentum moment. And then it was like maybe like 10 minutes later, when they're trying to get him back into the Air Force, that sort of like clicks with me. And when they're trying to get him back into the Navy, then it felt like the significance, made a bit more of a point there. But I don't know. I think maybe they could have done it slightly different, where it was like, I think it would have been more effective if they were on like an actual mission, not a training mission. And if he got killed in a mission, and I think maybe that would have been a bit more significant. But I think it doesn't feel as built up for me, that moment. Maybe you feel different. That's the way I felt when I was watching it. But I will say, yeah, it is superb. It is absolutely a superb movie. Really enjoyed the rewatch, and man, I'm watching this now. I'm watching it at the end. I thought, you know what? I think this is probably Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick now. They are creeping into my top 10 movies of all time. I really enjoyed it. For an action movie set in the sky in fighter jets, it's just full of energy, this movie. Absolutely full of energy. Let's talk about some favourite moments in this movie then. So favourite part of Top Gun, the original Top Gun. As I said, that song, Danger Zone, really revs me up and gets me really excited, energized. But I will say the whole score is fantastic, and obviously they go back to that Danger Zone song a few times, and then you've got Mighty Wings is another one that gets played a few times. I will say, Take My Breath Away. I was never super keen on that song. I think it's Giorgio Moroder, the electronic producing icon. I think he produced that song. If it was it Berlin, I may be incorrect, but he was I believe he was the writer or the producer of that song. Big fan of his. I was never keen on that song, but in this movie now, rewatching it, I didn't mind it as much, that song, and like I said, it's not a song that super appeals to me, but I thought it really did, fit in really well, and it's a very synthesized 80s soundtrack with that sort of like heavy metal guitar for some moments of the Top Gun theme, but a lot of it feels like it's on like if you're into your like music and musical instruments, it kind of feels like there was this synthesizer in the 80s called the Yamaha DX7, and it sounds like the whole soundtrack was made using the DX7 synthesizer. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about with that synth. But I really enjoyed the score and the soundtrack. I thought it was perfect, and I can see in the sequel where they've taken a lot of elements and a lot of just like copy and paste from the soundtrack, and it makes sense because it is absolutely quality. It's a 10 out of 10 score, 10 out of 10 soundtrack. Favorite scenes? I think the opening scene is pretty good when you've got Danger Zone clicking in, and again, very much the same as the sequel. It's got that Danger Zone, and that just really builds up that excitement. I think the opening scene as well, where we get this fellow pilot who kind of has trouble with an enemy fighter, and then he has like this panic attack mid-air, and then Maverick and Goose, they fly back out to try and get him to land properly, and he ends up landing properly. They save his life, basically. That is a great scene, but I mean, the end dogfight is phenomenal. Absolutely, like talking about edge of your seat stuff. This is edge of your seat stuff. It's just full of like them moments where you're like jaw-dropping moments. The scenes, like I said, the jet fighting scenes, the battles are phenomenal. I mean, there's a lot of like shots where it's obviously a shot of someone actually flying a fighter jet, and like the new movie, the scenes are just action packed, the high intensity, and you're looking at some of these scenes and you're thinking, wow, this is just like mesmerizing, absolutely mesmerizing. You're just like, whoa, incredible. But that dogfight at the end, it must last for like maybe, I'd say about 5 to 10, maybe it's not 10 minutes, but it felt like a 5 to 10 minute scene. It feels like a long scene, but it was, every moment in it was step by step perfect. Absolutely perfect. And you see where Val Kilmer's Iceman is getting shot by the enemies in the jet fighters, and then Maverick, he kind of has that moment where he's like, talk to me, Goose. He's trying to talk to the ghost of Goose, and he's having that sort of like moment where he has that moment of panic, and then he has that calming moment where he takes a deep breath and he comes back into the fight, helps Iceman out, and they have this big rivalry. Iceman kind of thinks like he has like a low opinion of Maverick, and then at the end scene, you see that rivalry come to be a friendship at the end when they get out of the jet and they hug it out, and he's kind of like, he respects him. He says to Maverick, "You can be my wingman anytime." And I really enjoy that. I'm a big mark for Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer has, over the past couple of years, really become one of my favorite actors. I'm trying to think of someone who could top Val Kilmer. I think his movies, every role he's in, I've watched. I've just found these movies to be, is not the movies, but the roles he plays, just super significant to me. And I look at each character he plays and think, whoa, what a great performance. And another great performance here is Iceman. He doesn't have a ton of scenes in this, I'll be honest. It's kind of like light on Val Kilmer, but I still enjoy seeing him in this movie. And I love that rivalry. That rivalry is so important to this movie, and the friendship at the end between Iceman and Maverick. But yeah, that is one of my favourite scenes. But look, let's look at the comparisons. Let's look at the OG versus a sequel. Put them against each other if you like. Maverick, I really enjoyed Maverick. I thought it was phenomenal. I didn't really understand a lot of the nods to the first movie because I had only watched it a few times in the past and I couldn't remember anything from it. So looking now at watching this movie, you can see the amount of nods. I mean, the opening scene is basically a shot-for-shot remake. This reminds me a lot of what they did with Star Wars The Force Awakens, where it feels like they were kind of doing a reboot, a remake of A New Hope in a way. They were just doing like a rehash of it, but to introduce it to new audiences. And that's where it exactly done it. For me, I feel like I'm a new audience to the Top Gun franchise, and this, it give you... I mean, the story-wise, the story is very much the same. You know, you've got a new recruits, go to Top Gun school, they do a mission. That's the story. And both movies are very much the same. You know, that's the story there. But like Force Awakens, I thought that was done really well. It really energized me for the franchise, got me sucked in. And Maverick done the same, and it has got a lot of influence. And Mark mentioned this. Mark, Movie Cheer Town community member Mark, mentioned this in last week's comments. He said he watched like a double bill at the cinema, and he said he could see a lot of the nods to the original within the sequel. And I totally agree with Mark there, because there is so many nods with the music, with the score, with certain scenes, and just the way the shots in this, of Tom Cruise on his bike in the jets. All I can say is the sequel kind of just takes it up a level. That's what it does for me. It takes it up a level, especially with the fight scenes with the jets. I think it just goes, it's like Top Gun the original is at 8, and Top Gun Maverick, it goes Spinal Tap. It goes up to 11. Really, it does go up a few levels, and that is not a knock on the original, because the original is great. It is a magnificent movie, and the scenes in the sky are great to see. But Top Gun Maverick just takes it up a few notches for me personally. But I will say, after watching Top Gun now, I kind of have a more... I have rewatching it today. I've got a lot of more of appreciation for that movie, and watching Maverick as well. That movie is phenomenal. Probably, I think it's my favorite movie of this year so far. Watching, I'd really enjoyed Maverick, but a big appreciation for the original Top Gun. Watching this back, it is an incredible movie. Incredible movie. Like I said, Tom Cruise, for me, he has got more recent movies, the Mission Impossibles, the late Mission Impossibles, the sci-fi movies he does. Like Oblivion is a favorite of mine. The time travel movie, the time loop movie, I forget what it's called. Live, Die, Repeat. Day After Tomorrow, is it? That's it's got two titles. I think one's called Live, Die, Repeat. That one's a great movie as well. But Top Gun Maverick is a high movie on the list of Tom Cruise movies. But Top Gun the original now, like I said, I'm going to go back to this movie now again and again and again, because I really, really enjoyed it. And I think, like I said, the sequel for me is just a tiny bit better. Maybe it's because I watched it last weekend, and maybe it's like the first movie you watch, you kind of click to first. But the first movie, if you are thinking about maybe you watch Top Gun Maverick, you've never seen the original, check out the original. I think you will be massively entertained. I think it will appeal to you if you enjoyed Maverick. I don't think it's a dated movie. I think it is a movie that has really stood the test of the time, because this is a 1986 movie. This is a movie over 30 years old now. It is maddening to think that, and it really does stand the test of time for me. A great soundtrack, a great score, some fantastic performances. Tom Cruise, he's got his motorbike. He's doing some of his own scenes in this. He's getting ready for them Mission Impossible movies. But I really did enjoy Top Gun, the original movie. A great movie to watch. I had a really good time with this film. And that is it for today's headline topic. And let's move on to the next segment of today's show. It's time for the Movie Variant Showdown segment of the show. Are you ready? Movie Variant Showdown. Each and every week, I choose a different representative of a movie property and put it up against other variants of that property, whether it be a movie poster, a movie itself, a case cover, and I put it up against other variants, like I said. And today on Movie Variant Showdown, I will be looking at the 4 Love and Thunder case covers. I've got 4 case covers. I got a Blu-ray, and I got 3 different editions of the 4K, 2 Zavvi exclusive ones as well. So let's start off with the Blu-ray first of all. The Blu-ray of Thor: Love and Thunder. And I will also say, I've still not seen this movie. I've not seen it. I know it's coming to Disney Plus in a few weeks' time, and the physical media release is coming out. I think it's early September, I believe. So I've still not seen this movie. So don't give me any spoilers, please. But I'm looking forward to giving it a watch. I really enjoyed the last movie. So for Love and Thunder, let's start off with the Blu-ray release, and the Blu-ray cover is actually the same as the DVD cover as well. So we start off. We got. On this cover, very bright colours within this, very like an 80s, it looks like an 80s like rock band cover. The style of text, is, this big like multicoloured text, really bright and energetic, and kind of reminds me of like the Hulkamania writing for Love and Thunder beneath it as well. So you've got loads of different colours like blues and reds. In the centerfold, you've got Thor and Mighty Thor, Jane, her character, played by Natalie Portman. And then you've got a few of the other characters. You've got Valkyrie in there, you've got Korg, and you've got, I believe, is it Gore, played by Christian Bale, his villain, in the far left of this. And I like this. It looks like a painting, and then you've got like the flash of energy of the blue in the middle. This is a really nice, colourful colour. And I will say all of the covers today are just absolutely full of colour, which is really nice to see. It really looks like I suppose like a Bowie, I'm trying to think like a Bowie album it would look like, but just like it looks like a glam, maybe a glam band from like the 70s, or like I said, an 80s like glam band or something like that. Really like this cover. I like you look to the right, you've got Valkyrie in the skies, and really clear of that on the flying horse. It just looks great. I really like this. Blu-ray, let's move to the next one anyway. So we got the next choice is the standard 4K. And the standard 4K of Thor: Love and Thunder, very, very different, but also very similar. Looks like slightly different color palette. I think the first one is very like a lot of lighter blues, and in this one you've got the same text at the bottom of the screen, same logo, same type of font for the text, but you've kind of got like a few more reds in this, and you've got the centerfold, you've got both of the versions of Thor, female Thor, male Thor, or Thor and Mighty Thor, and a few of the other main characters, Valkyrie and Korg again. And in the background, it looks like a thunderbolt. This reminds me a lot of like the Bowie sort of like a Ziggy Stardust. Is it Ziggy Stardust? No, it's Aladdin Sane, is it? That character. It's Ziggy Stardust, isn't it? Yeah, with like the thunderbolt. I think it is. I'm making a fool of myself music wise now, but this is a really nice cover. I love in the background you've got like the reds, the yellows, and then it moves and shifts to the other corner of the screen where you've got them blues again from the first cover. But yeah, I really like that. I like the thunderbolts in the background. I think that just looks amazing. So for me, so far, I would say the standard 4K is winning on Movie Variant Showdown. But this isn't the end of it. Let's move to the next cover I'm going to discuss. The next cover is the Thor: Love and Thunder Zavvi exclusive 4K Ultra HD Steelbook. Includes the Blu-ray as well. And this cover is a bit more minimal. It just includes Thor in this kind of like 80s jeans and band t-shirt with his big axe, and he's just got it in the air, and there's all the lightning, the lightning coming down to him. Very minimal, but I do really like this cover. It's just, I imagine this is probably a scene in the movie. This looks like it probably is like a significant scene, maybe. I know there's stuff with the Guardians of the Galaxy where he's wearing this outfit. I think it's like near the start of the movie. So I like this. I think it's really great. I think it looks at a really nice look. I'd be honest, for me, the 4K standard is still winning through. I think this would be second so far. I would pick this over the Blu-ray cover, but I don't know. I do like the mix of the blues in the text, the logo text is slightly smaller on this one. It doesn't. I don't know why they've done that. I would have made the text a bit bigger. I'll be honest. That would be my only sort of like fault with this. My only sort of correction. I would like to see them make the text a bit bigger. because you could still make that bigger and it wouldn't affect the image for me anyway. But yes, still a great cover, this one. Now let's move to the fourth and final case cover we're going to look at today, the Thor Love and Thunder Zavvi exclusive collector's edition 4K Ultra HD Steelbook. Again, includes the Blu-ray, and this is actually really nice. Let's talk about this. So this is it feels like a different color palette. This goes a lot darker. First of all, the Thor Love and Thunder text, the actual writing of the movie title, changes from the bottom of the screen to the top of the screen this time. It looks like a slightly different... it's exactly the same. Sorry, it is exactly the same. So, on this, we've got Thor in there, we've got Mighty Thor, we've got Korg, Valkyrie, and in the background, you see the villain of Christian Bale's villain, and you see like that black background of space, and you see a planet in the distance as well. Thor has got his weapon to the right of him, and his arm sticking out, and then he's got the lightning coming down, and then you see all the lightning colours creating them blues and white in the background, contrasting with that black colour of the background as well. I really like that, and I think the logo really pops here as well with that black background. And then you go to a lighter white background at the bottom, and it melts into that white, so it looks like snow or sort of like dust at the bottom of the screen. I really like this, and I'll be honest with you, at first, I was actually saying, originally, this is hard, this is really hard, because I'll be honest with you, here's behind the scenes. Before doing this today, I noted down which one was my favourite, and it was the standard 4K originally, but on the fly, I'm going to change it on the fly, because looking at this again, I like the contrast of the colours. I think the black works really well with the logo, and it really pops. And I'm going to go with this. The Zavvi exclusive collector's edition is my favourite today on Movie Variant Showdown. I think it just really, the characters have got a really good look. I love the lightning in there. I love the dark contrast to the lighter colours at the bottom of the screen. This really pops. I think it's great. I think it's a really cool cover for a steelbook, and it really represents what I think I'm going to see with this movie. From what I've seen in the trailers, it really represents, I feel, what I'm going to see with this movie when I watch it. So the 4K, the Zavvi exclusive collector's edition, wins on this week's edition of Movie Variant Showdown. Now, let's move on to the next segment of today's show. And the next segment of today's show is Movies for the Weekend. This is the part of the show where I give you some movie recommendations for this weekend if you're looking for something to watch. So, I've got two movies as always, and the first movie, as I said earlier on in the show, this week I was on Video Tasties, Gareth's channel, and we were discussing this movie, James Bond Moonraker, starring Roger Moore. Really fun watch. I love the scenes with Jaws in this and James Bond. I think them scenes are just always funny to watch, really entertaining, and it's a really good movie. So that is Moonraker. And this second movie, Gareth mentioned to me, he said, like, what's your first memory of watching Bond? And I think the very first, I may be wrong, I may be incorrect, maybe I watched other ones. But for me, the most significant movie I can remember watching as growing up was this movie, Bond in Tomorrow Never Dies, the Pierce Brosnan movie. This is my film, the film I can really remember. I can't really remember GoldenEye watching that growing up as much, even though I did probably see it. But Tomorrow Never Dies was probably the first one maybe I watched as a home release on video. These are my two recommendations for this weekend, Moonraker and Tomorrow Never Dies. Anyway, let's move on with the next part of the show. The Amazon Top 10 is approaching. Prepare yourself. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Amazon Top 10 has arrived. The Amazon Top 10. Every week I look at the bestsellers list on Amazon.co.uk, the bestsellers list for DVDs, Blu-rays and 4Ks. And this week is no different. I'm going to look at that list now and give you the top 10 on Amazon.co.uk. And let's start off with number 10. At number 10, we have Fisherman's Friend. That is right, the DVD of Fisherman's Friend is at number 10. At number 9, we have Belfast on DVD. At number 8, we have I think it's a Doctor Who animated movie, Doctor Who, the I'm going to struggle with this. I can't pronounce this. The Abominable Snowman arc. That is so embarrassing, but I really struggle with certain words to pronounce them. This is one of those words. It's spelled ABO. The Abominable. I'm not even going to try it now. I'll just say the something snowman. I need to work out how to say it. Certain words I need to say in my head and break them down first before I can say them, and that is one of those words. So that's at number 8 anyway. At number 7, we have Operation Mincemeat on DVD. At number 6, we have Top Gun Maverick on Blu-ray. Great watch. At number 5, we have Thor Love and Thunder, the Blu-ray release of that movie. At number 4, we have The Batman on DVD. At number 3, we have The Batman on Blu-ray. And at number 2, we have Elvis on DVD. And number 1, still holding the number 1 slot, is Downton Abbey, A New Era on DVD. And that is it, the Amazon Top 10 for today's show. Let's move on to the final segment of the show. Ooh, what's been on the screen? What's been on the screen? What's been on the screen? Every week I discuss what I've been watching, movies, TV-wise, and let's have a look at what I've been watching this past week. Well, first of all, I've watched episode 2 of House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones spin-off show. I won't go too deep into that episode, but I will say I really enjoyed it again. I love the rivalry, the sort of a few, I suppose, light spoilers for this if you've not watched the episode. This rivalry, there's a bit of a time jump in this one, and you see this sort of this setting up the rivalry, this civil war within the Targaryen empire, really, with Matt Smith's brother, the character of Daemon, against his brother the King and his daughter, and it was a really good episode as well. I liked it, some big significant moments here. We see that his daughter's best friend will become the king's new wife, and that's kind of at the end of the episode, and you see, obviously, that's going to be a big point and a big plot moving forward, the friendship, and I know the two females will be recast on this time jump. They've got older actors playing them sort of in the later years, but it was a really good episode, and I really enjoyed it. What I will say, the first episode didn't feature the entrance, what the entrance theme song would be. We did hear the Game of Thrones theme song in a bit of the musical score, which I really liked. But at the start of this episode, we saw the new titles for House of the Dragon, and it uses the same theme song as Game of Thrones. Now, I don't know what the general reaction to audiences, what the people's thoughts are on this, and I'd like to know your thoughts. I thought it was great. I love that theme song, and it doesn't bother me at all that they're reusing it. I think, this is a theme song for Westeros now. If they do more spin-off shows, I'm happy for them to use it in that as well. I really enjoyed it. And I thought it was a great, solid episode. I thought it was more enjoyable than the first episode as well. I thought there really a lot more building up stuff with the crab feeder villain. Obviously, that's going to be a big, significant villain as well moving forward. But I love this civil war they're setting up, and I think it was a really good, solid episode. Let's move to Amazon now. Amazon debuted 2 episodes of The Fantasy Show now. So we got HBO Max delivering House of the Dragon. Now we have the Lord of the Rings TV show, The Rings of Power. Debuted 2 episodes this past week. I watched both of those episodes. I won't go into spoilers. What I will say is I think it was a really slow start. I think they were very slow episodes. And in comparison to the other fantasy show, with House of the Dragon. I feel like it really kicked in the first episode, and the second episode they really kicked off a lot more. It felt like they were really putting a lot of building blocks together with the first 2 episodes with Rings of Power, and I think they've definitely set up a few things, like the mysterious man who comes flying out of space, and it's like, who is he? Is he Gandalf? Who is this guy? But a lot of it was very slow, and obviously they're building up a lot of different characters and different sort of like locations, and they're building up like the orcs, setting the orcs and Sauron up in this episode, and you know the arrival of the orcs and like where are they coming in. I get what they're doing, but I felt like they could have done a lot of it in that first episode, and it was really slow for me. And I think for a show that they spent, I think this is meant to be the highest budgeted show in TV history. I think it's more than Game of Thrones. I think Game of Thrones held the record before that, but I'm pretty sure Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power now is above that, and the amount of money they spent on it. I felt like they could have done a lot more, and maybe they could have really, went heavy on some battles and really give us something from the, what we saw in the movies. And I'm looking forward to watching more of it. I'm intrigued. I didn't think they were duds. I just felt there wasn't that much in there, and I thought they were really slow starters, them episodes. But I would definitely watch it again. I'm going to watch the whole season. I think it's going to be interesting to watch. Them movies can't be topped for me. For me, it's just extra material within Middle-earth, and it's set before the movie, so it's just more Lord of the Rings content, which is good to see. But yeah, I'm interested to see more. But I think so far out of them 2 fantasy shows, House of the Dragon just appeals to me a bit more. I like that more adult style content. I think it's a bit more like graphic, and I think it's just a bit more aimed for me, an adult audience, which I enjoy a bit more. And I think it has Rings of Power definitely has a lot of the tone of the movies. I would say it's more family friendly, definitely. There's not a lot of, it's not gruesome like Game of Thrones. You couldn't let kids watch Game of Thrones, whereas they can definitely watch Rings of Power. And I think that's where the appeal is to a lot of audiences out there. But House of the Dragon is winning the fantasy battle so far for me. But yeah, you know what? You can enjoy both shows. It doesn't matter. But I will say as well, I watched the 3rd episode of She-Hulk this week. Emil Blonsky, his character played by Tim Roth, the Abomination, stand out for me. This show, it has its flaws. I think the CGI is bad, really bad at times. But his character has become a standout for me. I said it last week, he reminds me of David Brent, Ricky Gervais's David Brent. And his scenes in this 3rd episode, again, he just cracked me up. Absolutely cracked me up. The 30-minute episodes, it just had me just laughing. Just like, I kept on picturing David Brent, and his scenes were amazing with the wives when he's having his hearing to try and get out of the prison cell. I thought it was super funny, and I really enjoyed it. And I feel like they're definitely setting it up. There's still more to see on this. I'm looking forward to it. I'm getting into it more and more. I think the 2nd episode I enjoyed more than the 1st. The 3rd episode I enjoyed more than the 2nd. I feel like it's a builder on this one. I think you've got to give it a chance, She-Hulk. Not the best show of all time, not the best MCU show, but definitely a fun watch, an entertaining watch. But that's what's been on the screen for me this week. And that is the end of another episode of the Movie Cheer Pod. If you enjoyed this video today, please do give it a like and leave a comment below if you're watching on YouTube. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed as well. If you are listening to this on a podcast app of your choice, please do subscribe to the podcast app and leave a 5-star review if you can. All reviews are much appreciated. It helps the channel and the community to grow even more. But let me know all of your thoughts on today's episode. Top Gun. Is Top Gun one of your favourite movies? What do you think of Top Gun? Did you watch Top Gun Maverick and go back to Top Gun? Let me know your thoughts on Top Gun. Let me know all of your thoughts on the rest of today's movie-related topics as well, ladies and gents. It's been a really, really fun show. I will be back again next week for another episode of the Movie Cheer Pod. And as I said, if you want to get involved in Movie Cheer Fest, leave a comment or send me a message. It'd be great to have you on board for Movie Cheer Fest. Let me know, folks. But yeah, been a really fun episode. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gents. Remember to spread a bit of movie cheer. And as always, I will see you next time.